Um, as for we're going to talk plenty about softball. They are the story as to what's going on now, and wow, just incredible. So can't wait to get John in for that. As it pertains to South Carolina baseball, um, this weekend obviously another rough one on the diamond. They're now 26-26 overall. And coming up this week, they've got 4 home games: Winthrop tomorrow night, and then a Thursday through Saturday series with LSU, Paul Mainieri's former school. And the Gamecocks will then conclude the regular season. They'll head to Hoover. And as it stands today, they are going to be the 15 seed. And we'll see what happens. Can they get hot? And that's the only way to make the postseason is winning the tournament. So we'll see. But unfortunately, 3 more losses this weekend, 46 runs that were given up in those 3 games. And that's coming off of last weekend in which they gave up 39 runs to the Florida Gators. Over the last few weeks, I have done a lot of research with my contacts in baseball, and we are where we are. Right now, obviously, it's been a rough go of it. Here's what I know about what's coming. Multiple sources have indicated to me, Phil, what seems to be a majority, and maybe a large majority, of players intend to enter the transfer portal once it's officially open Monday, June the 2nd. Reasons for transferring, according to these sources, are largely unrelated to playing time. Each time I asked about specific players, not once was I told that any particular player with eligibility remaining would not enter the portal. That doesn't mean that every player will enter who can return, but I was not told no to any of them. I was also told that players who plan to enter the Major League Baseball draft with eligibility remaining are also considered transfer portal candidates, as in if something happens or falls through and they need to return to school, they are considering leaving the University of South Carolina as well. Multiple sources have also indicated that players would like to, and maybe this is already in the cards. Who knows? I don't know. I don't want to. We don't have not spoken to the AD or anything like that, but players would like to individually meet with the administration at South Carolina to discuss the current and future state of the program. Multiple sources have also indicated to me that the players who would leave, maybe as opposite of what public opinion is, would garner interest from multiple SEC, ACC, and other high-level programs, many of which, behind the scenes, players, things happen. I'm not saying that South Carolina's players are reaching out to programs. I've got no information on anything like that, and I don't believe that they have. But when you have a bad season, there are other teams that are keeping an eye. Well, I recruited this guy. If he gets in, maybe I'd like to get him. That is happening, from what I'm told. I've also been told by multiple sources the last couple of weeks that there is an alarming lack of communication within the staff. Again, these are outside, distant sources, but word travels quickly. So as far as members of the staff don't even know what the lineup is until it's posted on the wall. From a scouting standpoint, I have been told over the last few weeks that the management of the pitching staff, the lack of development of the pitching staff, and this is more of a baseball thing here, predictability and counts have been major factors for the lack of performance this year. Multiple sources have indicated that the talent level at South Carolina probably not good enough to be in Omaha necessarily, unless a lot of stuff really goes right, but more talent than what has been shown via the stat sheet, the win column, et cetera, et cetera. Offensively, coaching contacts who I've spoken with who have scouted this team, have told me they believe in a lot of the injuries, guys like Talmadge Lee Croy, and they brought in Dalton Mayshore to play a ton, things like that. Beyond, Kennedy Jones has dealt with some nagging injuries throughout the year. Ethan Petrie, obviously, in his injury situation. I mean, there's a lot. They've had a lot of stuff happen from an injury standpoint with this team. They believe that that's been a key role in the ups and downs of the offense. There's no question about it. One contact said he didn't think that they were elite offensively with the injuries, but also with the, quote, constant shuffling of the lineup. He believes that that played a key role in the inconsistency of it. This is someone who scouted them. Another contact who has scouted the offense said they felt that Carolina felt pressure with runners on base, and they use that against them, basically giving themselves up and multiple big at-bats throughout the season. Again, this is a coach scouting the team, okay? Another contact said he was fairly surprised at times to see guys who just, quote, disappear from the lineup following mistakes or after, quote, having a bad night. So, you know, this is all stuff that we'll talk about. I mean, I've said it and I stand on it because I lean on people who are smarter than me, Phil, to be able to, even though I think I got eyeballs and ears and it all seems like you can figure it out a little bit, I'd rather confirm that. So that's the information I've got as to why they are where they are at this point in time. What comes of it, we certainly will see. But a lot of people have been under this assumption that they just need to just wipe the board clean and go out and get a ton of new players. Phil, if you've watched the transfer portal in any sport, the elite players that get into it, everybody wants them. Whoever wins the national championship this year is also going to go to the transfer portal. I'm not saying that South Carolina cannot go out and sign elite level players out of the transfer portal. Of course they can. Okay. Terry Rooney has long been considered an excellent recruiter. Monty Lee has long been considered an excellent recruiter. Paul Mainieri has won a national championship in over 1,500 games. You can sell that. That's easy to sell. There's no doubt about it. But if your whole lineup or your whole roster decides basically they're getting into the portal, I don't know how you're going to explain that when you do go out and try to sign players and try to this isn't Major League Baseball 2K25. You don't get to just create players and then you sign those players and build your roster like a video game land. If there's guys throwing 95 to 100 out there, everybody's going to want them. All right, you're not going to go sign 5 and 6 of those guys. You might sign 1 or 2, but it has been brought up to me multiple times, especially in the last couple of months when things really started to go in a bad way in South Carolina. They've got enough talent that needs to be developed there. Do you wonder why I've been beating the drum for the fact that they need to develop their talent? I mean, it's there. And if you've got guys who you beat guys like Florida and Arkansas and Oklahoma State and North Carolina and Clemson and so on and so forth out to get them, obviously they're good enough to play at those teams. Why are they not good enough to play at South Carolina? And when they go back in the portal, those are the same teams that are going to go after them. So if this group largely jumps into the transfer portal and everybody's just under this complete falsehood that they're going to go out and just tack on 25 portal guys that are just going to come in and change the world, I think you're living in a fantasy land.
Yeah.
And that was the reason why, I've begun doing my research. What's going on? What can happen to fix this thing soon, as in like almost overnight soon, and not have 3 or 4 years of something that isn't even recognizable. South Carolina baseball has a recognizable brand, and right now it's anything but that.
Yeah, and obviously with the returning talent from this team, it's underperforming even per last year. You didn't lose an entire roster last year that, got you to postseason play to just get here this time. The other side of it is, JB, there were a lot more resources, as has been well documented, to attain this roster for this year. After the performance on the field, do you think the money's going to be limitless to where you're going to be able to just put 20 new top tier talented players on this team? No, people are not going to give. There is not a limitless supply of money for baseball. The transfer portal is a tool to fill holes. It is not a tool to completely change your roster. We haven't, there is not, I know some people are like, well, you can just address things in the portal and put together this team and it's going to be rock solid. Even the Ohio State thing from last year, all the money they spent on NIL, most of that was to retain their best players. and then go out and surgically get the pieces that they needed to feel like they could compete for a national championship. It's the exact same thing. Basketball is kind of an outlier, but that's only because the roster size is so small compared to the other sports.
Mm-hmm.
So it's absolutely ridiculous to think that you're just perfectly okay with potentially an entire team walking out and you can just rebuild it in what, 4 months? With what money?
Mm-hmm.
How much of that rev share money are you counting on? Because I can promise you the vast majority of that is going to go to support revenue sports. And
Well,
right now, South Carolina baseball, while it has been close for years because it is a traditional program in this school, is not going to get the money they need to rebuild that.
rev shares everywhere, so that won't even be really something
Right. It's a level
that's
playing field, right?
yeah,
For the
right,
Power Four. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it is not good right now. Obviously, it's South Carolina and a historically bad pitching staff that is just not good. So again, I think the main thing that I've gained out of all this, and this should happen every year in every sport, football, basketball, baseball, swimming, and it doesn't matter what it is. I strongly feel that the AD should always meet with players. If you got a small every team in America is going to have a small portion of players that don't like the coach or the staff or whatever it is. That is on every team. It doesn't matter how perfect it looks. There's always going to be a group. Okay, that's just going to happen. But if you, and I'm not even necessarily indicating that here, but if you speak to all of the players and you find a very common reason for why things aren't working, you as an AD now maybe have identified the problem. You can start to come up with a solution. So again, this has been brought up to me multiple times that players want to meet with the administration. In my time, it's never really been the case. Most of the time, they don't want to talk to anybody. They just want to go play ball. But we'll see what comes of it.